Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empowering Women Summit 2020. This event is organized by our IEEE Turkey Women in Engineering Affinity Group. So we are very honored having Hulya Kirkici, Professor Hulya Kirkici, today as our guest. She's professor and department chair of University of South Alabama. And today she will address growing as a leader through academia. So we are very honored to have her here. So before leaving the space, giving floor to Professor Hulya, I would like to remind everyone. So this is an interactive session. Anytime you can leave your comment and questions on the chat box. So we will address all your questions in the Q&A section. If it's relevant, immediately I'll try to address also your question to Professor Hulya. And would like to give floor to you and thank you very much for this honor to IEEE Women Engineering Turkey section. So we are looking forward hearing from you.
All right. Simai, thank you so much. I'm very happy and pleased to be able to provide this discussion and get to know you all. I wish this was a more personal level and in-person meeting. Unfortunately, due to the conditions and the pandemic throughout the world, we just are not able to do that. However, I'm very, very pleased to be able to provide this discussion with you. And really, what I will present is my background and how I became the person that I am. And also really would like to hear from you and your experience and your feedback and be able to answer your questions whenever possible. Okay, so just don't be shy. Just put your questions and comments to comments on the chat box, and Simai will guide me through all the throughout the presentation. So when I got this invitation, I was so excited, and then I was sort of anxious because I didn't know what to present. And I thought about it, and I finally said, you know what? I think as far as women in engineering groups concerned, it is really all about service and leadership. So my entire career went through the academia. And so I selected Growing as a Leader through Academia title. And with that, and I said, what is leadership? Is it all about getting the corner office? So we all have that terminology, right? To be the best and to have the best office, to have the best facilities, etc., etc. But then I said, it really doesn't make sense. So let's talk about more on the personal level. So as Simai introduced me to you, my professional background is I'm from academia. Unfortunately, I had very little interaction with industry. I had some interaction with the research organizations, mainly the federal government level. But I will look at that. At the moment, I'm a professor and chair of electrical and computer engineering at the University of South Alabama. Prior to that, I was with Auburn University in Alabama again. And I started at Auburn University as a postdoctoral researcher. And then I became an assistant professor at electrical and computer engineering, and then associate professor, then professor. And when I had the opportunity to become a department chair and to move another department, Auburn University was gracious enough to offer me to stay as an affiliate professor. So I still have a title there, even though I have very little time to be able to help the department at Auburn. However, I'm still a part of it. And then I also was a postdoctoral research associate at Weber Research Institute after graduating with my doctoral degree. So I have a PhD in electrical engineering from Polytechnic University. At the moment, Polytechnic University merged with New York University. as part of their College of Engineering, and now it is Tandon School of Engineering. My master's degree is in physics from Middle East Technical University in Ankara, Turkey. So I have great memories at the university and being a student in Turkey, and bachelor's in physics. So I'm going to come to that area. What made me to switch from physics to electrical engineering? That's quite interesting. So starting from my early childhood, and I think this basically will lead to why I'm an engineer the way I am. This is really, I grew up in Çivril, Denizli, and many of you know Pamukkale, which is about 100 miles from where I grew up. What you're seeing are my parents. They don't have college degree. They both have high school and middle school degrees. For their age, that was quite progressive. And me, as a child, I was my mom's little toy and modeling all wonderful clothes that she made for me. She was so keen on education. She always wanted me and my brother to be the best that we can, and she supported and helped and made me what I am. And my father, as a profession, he was auto mechanics and had his own shop and repaired cars. And he was really without a degree engineer. He invented so many things that I cannot list it here. So both of them were very progressive, and I was fortunate to grow up in that environment. And in high school, actually in middle school, taking my first physics class, and of course I was always good at math, but you're young, you don't know what's going on. So in middle school, when my teacher teaching physics just realized how interested I was, and we were studying the planets, the orbits, and the gravitational fields. And at that time, and I said, I want to be a physicist. I had no idea what a physicist would do. So then I finished high school and I pursued my dream of becoming a physicist. And I entered Middle East Technical University and then, of course, got my bachelor's and master's. So when I started at Matthew, and I was so influenced and impacted by my professors in the department and I said, oh, I am going to become a professor as a profession. And the pathway to become a professor is really, you have to do master's and then the PhD. And I think I was at the right place and right time, and professors were so supportive, and they showed me that I could actually apply for scholarship to get my PhD in international, in America or in England. At the time, the government had these examination to qualify students for these scholarships to send them abroad. And I was selected, and my initial selection was to go to England, but then the capacity in England was full. Then they allowed me to select to go to America. So I came here and I went to Texas Tech University as a physics PhD candidate. And at the time, for my master's, and I studied lasers. And when I went to Texas Tech University, and I looked for a professor that worked in the lasers area. And the professor that I have found was in electrical engineering department. And I started my research, and about a year or so, maybe 6 months later, and professor said to me, Hulya, I am moving to New York, and I want you to come with the project, and you're doing really well in the project. And then I thought about it, and I said, well, okay, I'll think about it. And then he continued, he said, oh, by the way, if you do go to come with the project, then you will have to be in electrical engineering program. And of course, many of you probably know there's always a debate going on if physicists are better or electrical engineers in science and technology. And to me, being a physicist was the ultimate goal. And I said to my professor, engineering is a technician work. And he said, well, Hulya, that might be correct, but engineers in that country makes more money. And I said, oh, okay. So that is how I became an electrical engineering student. And I'm so glad I did, simply because it shows you a completely different view of the world. You have the skills to understand the science, but you also have skills and talent to apply it to the science to discover new discoveries and new technologies. So that's a perfect combination that which I didn't plan on doing, but I did. And with that, of course, I as a researcher, and I finished my degree, and then I looked for a job, and I finally did get a job at Auburn University, and became a tenure track faculty. And as a tenure track faculty, the professor is really the job is to be able to publish as much as you can and graduate as many students as you can and interact with research organizations as much as you can. So I was presenting my first conference paper as a tenure track faculty member at a conference that is a conference on electrical insulation and dielectrics phenomena. That's an IEEE conference. And one of the leaders of that conference approached me and said, Hulya, we have always wanted to go to Auburn to host this conference. Would you be willing to host it at Auburn? And I said, sure. And I didn't know what that meant, but I'm glad I didn't know what that meant. I may have said no. And then that actually opened my IEEE career. The IEEE career meaning volunteering and interacting and building networking, building friendship, building collaborations, and building your research program. And in later years, that was in 1998, and through this conference and others, and I was able to meet several people, and that allowed me to have a 1.5 year sabbatical leave from university to be at NASA as a visiting scientist and researcher. And then from that work, and I was publishing in areas that had something to do with dielectrics and electrical insulation in space environment. Then I attended this particular conference. Again, another leader of that conference later on sent me an email and asking me to be a general chair of that particular conference, that is a power modulator conference. And I said yes. And so that became the vehicle for me to be able to excel further and meet other people. So, and from that work, then I was able to meet other people and other interactions and companies and many other collaborators. And then I took another sabbatical from Auburn University, and this time I went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That's Army Research, Air Force Research Labs. And from that experience, and I wanted to experience how the leadership actually is at a university. Of course, you always a leader as a professor because you're leading your students in research, you're leading your students in classrooms, and you're being an example. You're being the instructor, teacher, and research manager. But that's completely different. So instead of students, how about helping the new generation, young generation professors who are just entering the postdoctoral research positions or tenure track positions? How can you help these people? That becomes with the administration and administrative decisions. So I applied for a presidential administrative fellowship at Auburn University, and I was fortunate to get awarded. And I spent about a year with the university president, working with the president on mid-career women faculty advancement. And that was an extremely fulfilling process because I was simply doing the things that I really wanted to do. My screen has changed, but I think it's okay. So as a researcher, this is my research area. I do work on dielectrics and electrical insulation that involves high voltage, high frequency breakdown in space and aerospace power systems. I do repetitive pulse power that is really, again, high field, high stress environment. And my work expanded to the carbon nanotubes and nanotechnology as fabricating these materials to be used in repetitive pulse power systems. And of course, along with this and my laser background, that's plasma physics and optical spectroscopy measurements and techniques. So if you look at this one, it is really, my area is that little triangle that you see. It's a very, very focused, narrow area that I do research, but combines physics, electrical engineering, and electrophysics. So as a scholarly work, this is my production as a scholar that I was awarded IEEE Fellow and received several IEEE awards and authored many journal and conference papers and served as editor of several transactions. And the most rewarding part is I continuously get invited, just like this invitation, to give plenary or keynote talks, to meet new people, new faces, new interactions, and new opportunities for me and for people that I meet. And so these are some of my students. And the first picture is in Portugal, looking at one of the students' poster that I hosted in Portugal. And the other one is my second PhD student. He was from India, and he specifically wanted to work with me, and I was fortunate to get him, and he was an excellent, excellent student. And the lady that you see is my master's student towards the end of my work at Auburn. And the top right one is my last female PhD student. Now she's working for a company, electronics company in California. So what this brings me is that I continuously work with students, impact their future, impact their research, impact their careers. And I hope the more that I can reach out, the more I can help is more rewarding for me. So as a leader in a volunteer position, and last year I was IEEE Vice President for publications. And I was the president of the society, which is the Dielectrics and Electrical Insulation Society. This is the society that sponsors that very first conference that I was asked to host. And what a rewarding pathway from hosting one conference of one society to becoming a president of the society. That's a great, great honor. And I give distinguished lectures throughout, and I chair committees and conferences, and of course I'm really more proud is that I'm an academic leader at the moment because of being a female department chair and impacting and showing that it is possible for women to be a leader is really helping my department a lot. This department has not seen any female faculty until I came. And since then, I hired 3 new female faculty. Unfortunately, one of which had to leave due to family problems. But right now in my department, I would say 30% female, which is a great, great percentage, considering how little female electrical engineers are in the world in academia. So this could not happen without support and teamwork. Many contributed to my career progress. That is, first of all, the family, my students, my former professors, my Dielectric and Electrical Insulation Society colleagues, my IEEE colleagues, research sponsors, academic leaders, and my peers. And of course, this continues. If you look at the literature, you may find a leadership definition in many ways. This is from one of those documents, and textbook definition says communication, confidence, commitment, positive attitude, ability to inspire, creativity and intuition, ability to delegate, and honesty. And I agree with all of those. However, in my opinion, that is really being the facilitator and consensus builder among the groups and teams. Well informed in decision making, you have to ask questions to educate yourself to make the correct decision for your group, for your team, and need to have hands-on experience and be practical. And you cannot just formulate it in your head and not practice it. You have to practice it and be a mentor and community builder. It is great to be a leader. It's great to say, I am XYZ, but if you cannot mentor, if you cannot bring others with you, that is not as rewarding. So you need to continually build communities and mentor people. And of course, you have to follow the policies and the procedures and know how to be flexible to achieve what you want to achieve. And it's not always black and white. You sometimes need to see the gray and be able to maneuver in that gray. And of course, you need to promote and award achievements. Those are really the key issues to me that help me to get through and build what I was able to build for the others. And with that, grow as a leader. For you, as an advice, have a plan. It's never too late to make a plan. Start now. It doesn't matter if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 10s. Start now. Make a plan. Use the resources that are available to you. Resources, IEEE provides extremely large volume of resources. You just need to ask for it. And that includes your co-workers, your peers, your friends, your family, and of course, the professional society's resources. Work harder than others. Even though I don't believe this, but perhaps it needs to be work smarter than others. You have to be smart about what you are taking on. Is this something that you really want? Is it something that you enjoy doing? Or is it something that is going to take time away from other things that you would be doing and be more beneficial to others? You have to make a decision, and that decision is with you, and it is only with you. It's not working harder, but it's really working smarter. And of course, women don't do this as much. You need to promote yourself. I'm not saying that you need to say, I'm great, but tell someone, tell your supervisor, your friends, your family what you're doing, how this is impacting humanity, how this is building communities. Those are the words that comes from you with the testimonies. And those testimonies are the ones that are going to carry the wave and bring other people to follow your path. And it is about your achievements, about your skills and your ambition. Maybe not as much ambition, but your dream, what you want to do for technology, for humanity, and how you can use the technology for humanity. That is what engineers do. Tell your story every step of the way. And I know women are shy. We don't say our stories as much, but I learned this and I'm still learning that tell your story. Who are you? Where did you come from? What made you become an engineer? Was it just a dream or just coincidence? Do you like what you do? Those are the questions that you really need to do. And in leadership in academia and volunteer organizations, they're the same. To be able to work with people, you have to build motivation among people. So I kind of like this cartoon. It's my one of my favorite, even though it may not be appropriate, but that's what it is. You have to carry people with you, whatever works. All right. So these are my two troublemakers. One is trouble, the other one is flash, that I have to cater to them every day, and they're my bosses. So they teach me how to be rewarding and how to be in a team. And with that, in summary, I would say follow what your heart says, what you dream, and seek advice. Don't do it alone. Just ask and do what you like doing best, meaning the one that you enjoy doing. And remember, challenges are greater possibilities for success. It is challenging, it is hard, it is difficult. It was difficult for me to leave my family to come to America, and but it's life. Eventually, we're going to leave our families, we're going to be independent, but challenges are possibilities for success. So I urge all of you to take advantage of the opportunities that you have and challenges that comes with it and go for it. There is nothing that should stop you except you stopping you. With that, I am going to stop and I'll take your questions. And my email address is there, my first name, my last name, and spelled as English letters, not Turkish letters. And U without the umlauts and I's with dots. And at IEEE.org. Okay. All right. Perhaps I stop sharing my screen and then we can talk face to face, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that inspirational talk. And can't agree more. Like those challenges are really beautiful opportunities. They really make us more encouraging. Like they encourage us to do more. And actually, without those challenges, none of those success would be that beautiful. So thank you so much for all these insight and just like there are some speeches and talks that enter our life. They really change our life. So like we hear in an hour or 30 minutes, and then actually all those addresses and words, they touch in some places in our heart and in our life that really helps us. So it was one of those talks. So I really hope your speech was really inspiring for many of the audience as well. I would like to thank you so much on behalf of IEEE Turkey Women Engineering. So I would like to ask audience if there are any questions so we can address right now. It's a great opportunity. So it's actually time to just interact. So we already have one comment in Turkish from our young professional Turkey chair, Ömer. So that's a really great opportunity to address your questions right now. And sure.
Since I speak Turkish, if you ask your question, I can answer in Turkish and in English.
Yes, that's a really great honor and opportunity to ask also, just if you're watching and if you're Turkish right now, I mean, if you're Turkish and if you want to ask your question in your own native language, that's such an honor to ask to such wonderful person. Because like you are, I is knowing you, even not before in person. So like for me and also many people around me, you're like a role model. So it's
Right.
like there's someone that you have no doubt when you meet and hear the words that you'll get inspired and you'll have this opportunity. You will be privileged. So this is actually a chance right now to communicate even virtually. So like actually as you address all those challenges or opportunities. So throughout this year, so we had many difficulties and challenges. So it's also, but at the end overall, it's another opportunity that we connect from different parts of the world. So and we are sharing the knowledge and we are able to hear from you.
So I don't see any questions on the chat just yet, but I skipped a lot about me. Really, I think most of the time, and I see this from my nephew as well, and he had an opportunity to go to bachelor's degree here in US, and he didn't because he simply did not want to leave his family and his friends. And so for that is the hardest part. I skipped that part for me after middle school, and I actually went to a boarding school. It's a teachers' high school in Kastamonu, and I hated it. I loved going there, but then I hated it because I was so young. I was only 13, and I left my family behind, and it was very difficult. But that challenge prepared me to make the decision after my master's degree to just hop on the plane and come to America. It didn't matter. And I was already prepared and I already knew what separation meant. And I did it. And that was a lot easier for me than the other colleagues of mine at the time as student coming to America to study. They had a lot harder time than I did. So I'm not saying it's easy. It is not easy. It is difficult, but you just have to take the bullet and go with it. And I think most important thing, you've got to know what you want to do, and I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. And I also read a lot about women in engineering, the statistics, and I think part of the reasons that we are not really making any impact on bringing women in engineering is that we are not telling our story to the wider audience. We're not telling our success to wider audience, and we are really on our own, and we're not doing enough for ourselves to get people to be to recognize your contribution into the society and the technology. And that part, I think we still have to do a lot of work, that we have to keep doing that. And I'm a role model, and I always believe, if you see me, you can be me. Okay. So if I am a professor, and you can be a professor, and if I'm a researcher, you can be a researcher. If I'm a leader, you can be a leader. So that is the message. And I think if you see me, you can be me.
Absolutely. Actually, I have two questions. So, well, you already addressed one, but I want to maybe get a little bit more insight about that, because like I'm also one of them. Like seeing you, like role models like you, like also made the decision to go out of your comfort zone several times, and just like moving another country is itself as challenging experience. And that's why I always like describing my story like it was so hard and challenging. That's why it was so beautiful that I relocated and for my work. So you made it actually for country, and actually you changed like that changed all your direction in life. And also you made it one more time by just like changing your after your bachelor degree. So you actually went out of your comfort zone one more time for your dreams, and started in another engineering degree. So this is actually very deeper. I would like to hear a little bit more from you about this going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. That's I think it is built in me by my parents. And of course, Chiril at the time was only 10,000 population, and very small town. And I was so I was all, we were two siblings, my brother and myself, and he's older than I am. And I always wanted to play with my brother, and he would not let me play with his friends and with him. And my mom would always say, "Let her play with you. What's wrong with it?" And my dad and I used to go to the shop, the mechanics shop, and none of those workers dare to say, "You're a girl, you cannot come here." And they just let me do whatever I wanted to do and experience with tools and get my hands dirty and greasy and come home in grease, and my mom yelling at me, "Oh, what have you been doing?" So I think it was built in me as a child, and I think that's the part. And even now, I am uncomfortable, and I'm always on the edges, but I know that's not going to stop me. And it should never. And if you don't, you never feel comfortable, but that discomfort should not stop you, and it doesn't stop me. And that's I think is the message. And don't give up, and that discomfort is always going to be there. And I was rehearsing my presentation before I started, even though it is my story, and I had to. I had this discomfort to be giving this talk. So yeah.
Thank you so much. We have some comments and also a question. I would like to hear first show the comments that you're a role model, professor. So for young girls. So thank you. And one more, and from Amar Melikgül. So the question is, how do you consider the future of IEEE academic conferences?
That's a great question. Conferences, I think, is going to evolve. Not just IEEE conferences, but I think overall the world is going to evolve. And throughout my publication involvement within IEEE, we struggled how we can make the publications more streamlined and more open. And as an educator, we struggled. How can we have online education more quality and streamline it? And these technologies were there before the pandemic. What pandemic did is gave us the opportunity to excel on those digital world. And I think even though the pandemic will go away, the digital component of lifestyle is not going to go away. And I think people are discovering working from home is as efficient as being in the office. People are discovering learning from home online is as good a learning as in person. So, what this allowed us is that we will have options in terms of IEEE academic conferences. We will have options. We will have in-person option and we will have virtual option. And those who perform well virtually by digital means will continue to evolve into digital conferences. And the ones that are more reliant on in-person conferences will carry on. So it will be a really division of digital versus in-person. And I think that's a great thing. One of the silver lining about this pandemic, although everything is horrible at the moment, and I think is it gave a new outlook to how best we can look at the technology and how best we can use the technology for humanity.
We have one more from Amar, as like IEEE journals have started to accept papers extended from conference papers harder than before.
That is correct. That has nothing to do with the pandemic. It has started long time ago, and now they are doing a lot more um, uh, quality check, I believe. Again, this is the artifact of the digital world, and obviously, as a reader, if Semi published a conference paper and published the same article in a journal, and I don't want to go to two different places and pay for two different publications for the same information. That is the core. And you cannot really publish or read a published material twice. You have to be original, new material, and substantial enough that the reader will have reason to read the revised and updated version. Okay, so the paper publication is building upon each other. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over, but you want to keep adding value to the publication. And normally conference publications is quick turnaround and you want to get your idea across, but journal paper is more scientific and more in depth. That's what you need to focus on.
We have one more question about your suggestions for women young professionals to get involved in young professionals. I believe Amar is referring to IEEE young professional activities and young professional volunteer positions and roles.
Wow. Okay. So send me a separate email. I'll get you in contact with this. We're always looking for young professionals and we're always trying to get them engaged and within IEEE and other places. I love to work with you all and to get you involved in young professional activities. That's a great question. Yes.
Yeah, and you have a lot of support, Professor, to many young professionals in IEEE and around you. So really empowering women in IEEE and also in our field.
Yeah. So I wonder if you all have young professionals meetings in your group. I think that's another way to get that and get that going and then organize it. And I think formal and informal, those are the differences. Uh, if you want the attention of the main organization, which is IEEE, you got to be a little bit more formal, meaning you have to form the committee, you have to apply, you have to do the paperwork, you have to go through the bureaucracy to be recognized by IEEE and as a young professional affinity group, and then from there you made it, and that will give you a lot of other opportunities. You may even have young professionals gathering or conference or whatever. And if you all want speakers for that, I will be more than happy to provide you recommendations and names.
Actually, by this opportunity, maybe we can invite you at the beginning of the reception. I don't know how is your availability. I know you must be very busy though, but you were referring the affinity groups. So actually, with this event is organized by IEEE Women Engineering Turkey Affinity Group, but very, very closely working together and cooperating together with Young Professionals Affinity Group in Turkey too. So by organizing this event, we took an opportunity to organize e-reception to meet with young professionals and also women engineering meet people all around the world, not only from Turkey. So actually after your session in 15 minutes, we have e-reception starting. So it will be in Zoom. It will be on Zoom. It's another link. So there will be also volunteers attending in person. We wanted to make those e-receptions interactive, so you just let people ask their questions directly. So we'll be honored to have you at the very beginning if your schedule is available.
Yeah, I will be happy to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so that is really wonderful. That is really honor for us.
Sure.
So, well, we will write also the Zoom link here on the chat for everyone. But if you couldn't get it, so it's actually available on our events website. For this is a remark for audience. We'll also send you this link. So we will meet with everyone, so you can also communicate with Professor more interactively in 15 minutes. So thank you so much. It was
You're welcome.
it was really honored to have you here. I would like to thank you for all the insights and inspiring all of us. So I hope to meet with you in person or virtual again by another opportunity.
Well, it was my privilege to give this talk, and I was so happy to do it. And I was really getting excited about getting Turkish questions in Turkish. But yeah, I anytime reach out to me if I don't know the answer, if I cannot help, and I will find someone who can. So just I'm here to help the young generation. Engineers and scientists, and I'm here to be part of you guys and see you become me. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. So this is the end of the session. This event was part of the Empowering Women 2020 Summit. So our event will continue by December 17th. So we still have more days to go, but actually we're very excited to meet with young professional. Well, meet with every one of you at the Young Professional Reception, and also we will be honored to have Professor Hulya Kirkici at the reception too, and see you in 10 minutes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.